focus on whatever you're watching with awareness and kindness, and everything all opens up and opens up and opens up. And you just sit here and all these wonderful things come to you. Just like the Buddha air, where the flight attendants bring all these wonderful things. But some of you have been sitting here, where's the flight attendant? They've brought me nothing yet. So today I was going to talk about why these things don't happen. The problems in the meditation and the difficulties people face. But first of all, one of the biggest problems in meditation is just knowing what to do. Am I doing this the right way, or am I doing this the wrong way? That's why many people come and bother me at interviews. They say, is this the right way? And I say, I've just been telling you for the last 3 days. But still, we really need to sort of get it confirmed. But being a very lazy monk and just wanting lots of free time, I'm going to tell you how you can find out sort of what's going on, so you can dispel all of your doubts about what's the right path, what's the wrong path. Whether it's Vipassana, Samatha, put effort, Ajahn Brahm's way, Mahasi Sayadaw's way, Pa Auk's way, somebody else's way. Which way? Because life can be very confusing. Just like the story of the man who was lost in the desert. And he was been lost in the desert for many days. He was suffering from sunstroke, heat stroke, lack of water, dehydration, and he was crawling. He realized he'd only maybe have 1 or 2 hours left to live. That's how far gone he was, as he was crawling over the sand dunes in the middle of the desert. And in the distance, he thought he saw something coming towards him. But he thought, no, the sun plays tricks on your mind. But as the image came closer, he saw, my goodness, this is a dog sled. A sled pulled by 4 husky dogs, and somebody in furs on the back. I must be going mad. And as the dog sled came closer, he could actually hear the dogs barking. And he saw it, yes, it was an Eskimo on the back. And he thought, this is a weird mirage. I really am going crazy. The heat's got to me. But as it came right up to him, the dog started licking him. He realized it wasn't a mirage. He shouted out, thank goodness, I'm saved. He said to the Eskimo, said, you've saved my life. And I've been lost in the desert for days. And the Eskimo replied, and you think you're lost? That's my Eskimo joke. So, that's what it's like sometimes. Eskimos ending up in the desert. So how do you know whether you're meditating correctly or not? How can you overcome the doubt and get certainty, yes, you are meditating in the right direction? And I employ a story, an anecdote from my youth. When I was at college, I used to like to spend times by myself, taking a tent and going to the north of Scotland, where there was some wilderness. So you go and walk high in the mountains and put your tent by some lake called a loch and just enjoy some solitude there for days. And I remember going to one part in the north of Scotland, and I was actually staying at a hostel. And I had a nice day. It was a beautiful sunny day, and so the warden of the hostel invited me just to go for a walk up one of the mountains. So we both went up and walked to the top of the mountain and got a beautiful view up there. And then there was another mountain which was close by, and said, how about going to the second mountain? And the warden said, no, you go by yourself. You know what you're doing. And this was a warden who lived in the local area, who should have known better than let me go up the next mountain by myself. Because even though it was a very beautiful day, by the time I got, maybe within 100 meters at the top of that mountain, the clouds came down really quickly, and I was enveloped in mist. You couldn't see your hand in front of you. And I thought, well, yeah, I can just retrace my steps and find the way down the mountain. So I thought I was retracing my steps. And I really got shocked because I came to the edge of a cliff. Maybe one more step and I wouldn't be here today. I checked later on in the maps where that cliff was. There was only one vertical cliff going down hundreds of meters. And I'd been going 180 degrees in the opposite direction I thought I was going in. When you're in the mist, you have no sense of direction. You think you're going in the correct direction, but you aren't. That's one of the troubles when you get lost in the mist or at darkness, or in sometimes whiteout in the snowfields. You don't know where you're going. And that really scared me. I thought, my goodness, because I heard tales of people being trapped in these mists which last for days and never being able to find their way out. So there I was in a very dangerous situation, and on top of a mountain, enveloped in mist, and thinking, what should I do to find the right way down? And it was very simple. Well, I knew enough physics. I studied theoretical physics. So one of the great laws of theoretical physics is that water always goes downhill. It's obvious. So I found a stream. And all I did was follow the stream. Because I knew it would go down, 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 down. And of course, after maybe half an hour following the stream, you went below the mist. So you could actually see where you were. And so then I saw where I was, and I could actually find my way back to the hostel. So I saved my life and got out pretty quickly. And I use that as a simile for meditation or for Dhamma practice. Until you really understand through deep experience what this meditation is, or what enlightenment is, what anatta is, non-self. Sometimes as a Buddhist it is like just walking around in the mist. You don't really know which way to go. And all the different monks and nuns say, come this way. And the other one says, no, go that way. And the other one says, no, come my way. And it gets very confusing. So, the only thing you can do is find a stream, because you know that will go downhill and under the mist. And what we mean by that stream is find things like peace, joy, kindness, because you know that that is going towards nirvana, going towards deep meditation. It must be going in the right direction. So follow the increase in peace, the increase in kindness, the increase in joy, the increase in awareness. Whatever is increasing those qualities, you know must be going in the correct direction. And you follow that. So in this meditation, if you're getting less peaceful, you are going in the wrong direction, whatever it is you're doing. But if you're getting more peaceful, more clear, more happy, more kind, then you know that must be going in the right direction. So carry on that way. And soon you'll see, the Dhamma, soon you'll see deep meditation and understand, yes, this was the right way. Once you're down under the mist, it's very easy to know what the right way was. So in this, whatever you're doing when you meditate, and I don't care what you're doing, vipassana, samatha, my method, somebody else's method, or following the way of the great white ram, whatever that is, I just made that up. But whatever you're doing, as long as you're creating more peace, more kindness, more joy, more awareness, it's going in the correct direction. Carry on. So as you're sitting here, is it working? Are you getting more peace? Are you getting more tense, more tight? If you're going in the wrong direction, it's never going to lead to the deep meditations or the insights or enlightenment. Stop. Try something else. If you're getting more fed up, then it's going in the wrong direction. But if you're finding there's more peace coming into your meditation, more kindness. By more kindness means You're more able to accept all the noise from the people in your cottage. You're not so fault-finding with, the food or the mats or Ajahn Brahm's bad jokes. You're much more at ease, soft. Then it's going in the correct direction. Carry on. Now that is a very important teaching, because that will teach you how to regulate your own meditation. Now you'll find, yes, it is going in the correct direction. Carry on. And you then become your own little teacher. Are you becoming more peaceful? Are you becoming more kind? Are you becoming more aware? If you are, carry on. Or as the Buddha said, if wholesome qualities are increasing, unwholesome ones are decreasing, carry on. You're doing the right thing. And that gets rid of a lot of doubt. So as you're practicing whatever I've been teaching you, and you give it a go, if it creates more peace, great. That's the golf buggy out there. So beep, beep, beep. So that's not a ghost coming in. Don't worry about that. I know all the sounds of this monastery. So that is actually how to overcome doubt. The mindfulness gives you feedback. You're aware of now, you're aware of the next few moments. How is it changing? If it's getting more peaceful, carry on. If it's not, stop it. And basically, you will discover, insight comes up, the meaning of what I said on the first day of the two types of meditation. First Noble Truth meditation and second Noble Truth meditation. That's the essence. Second Noble Truth meditation and third Noble Truth meditation, Second and third Noble Truth meditation. Second Noble Truth, wanting leads to suffering. That's the wrong way. So you'll always find out if you are getting less peace, less kindness, getting more agitated, more anger, that shows that you're doing Second Noble Truth, you're wanting something. So have a look in there, what do you want? I practiced that for about 2 or 3 years when I was a young monk, saying, no wanting, no desire. And I used that almost a mantra. No desire for anything at all. Not for meditation, not for nibbana, not for anything. So whenever I saw a desire or a want coming up in my mind, I just drop it straight away. You go incredibly peaceful that way. Because I realized that it was the wanting which caused all the trouble. The wanting caused the suffering. So I just totally let go of wanting. And there was that time, I remember, I'd just been practicing as a monk for such a long time, and I'd helped somebody, this was in Thailand, and they came up to me afterwards and they said, thank you so much for the service you've given to me. I want to show my gratitude by giving you something back. Now you know that monks in our tradition, we don't accept any money. So you give me $100, I won't accept it. It'll go into the accounts in our monastery or jhana grove. But there is a loophole. There always are loopholes. And the loophole is, what you can do, you can come up to me and say, Ajahn Brahm, you really helped me a lot. I want to give you something. Tell me what you want, and you give the amount, like $100. And then I can actually say, well, I want this, 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 and this, as long as it's not more than $100, and then you go and get it for me. That was called actually the Mendika allowance. But please don't do that. Please don't do that. Because when that first happened to me, this man in Thailand, he wanted to show his gratitude. I've helped him something. So he said, is there anything you need for 100 baht? Now this is many years ago, and for a monk that was a fortune. And he was standing in front of me, and I couldn't think what I wanted. I spent such a long time just living simply, no desires, no wants. And now he asked me, what do you want? And my mind went blank, and he started getting very impatient, as you guys usually do. And I came up with an idea. I said, look, I can't think right now. I will think about this evening. You go back, come back tomorrow, and I'll give you a list of what I want. He said, good idea, okay. So that evening I went back to my hut, to write out all my wish list for 100 baht. And the first thing I noticed, I was actually writing this down on the back of a piece of paper which wrapped a mosquito coil. Didn't have any paper. It really was a poor monastery. So the first thing I wrote down was a little exercise book, like some paper to write on. And the next thing I needed, I was writing in an old pencil which you could hardly use anymore. So I said, just a cheap, like big biro pen. I wrote that down next, a little pen. And actually I was writing this with a candlelight, and that's very bad for your eyes to write with a candlelight. So I thought just one of these little oil lamps, which you see in sort of remote areas where there's no electricity. So a little oil lamp. But with the oil lamp I needed matches, because in the jungles in Thailand it's so humid, the matches, they don't last very long. They all get wet on the outside, you can't strike them. So I said a box of matches. And then talking about lights, my flashlight was really, the batteries were all gone, and the flashlight was very old, so flashlight and batteries. And then I worked out that 100 baht was not enough. And once I'd written those things down, I couldn't take any off the list. They were all really important. You needed a flashlight. There were snakes in the jungle. And talking about walking in the jungle with snakes, my thongs needed replacing, so I wrote down thongs as well. And actually talking about writing, I really needed some aerograms to send to my mother, so she'd find out where I was and how I was doing. So I wrote down aerograms, and the list got longer and longer, and I could not take anything off. Soon 1,000 baht was not enough. And then I realized what was going on. I screwed out that piece of paper, and I threw it in the spittoon, in the rubbish bin. And when that guy came the next day, I said, "Don't you ever do that to me again." I was such a happy monk before. But as soon as you had the ability to get something, however much you had was not enough. And I realized that's what desire does. Wanting. And I guarantee you, if on this retreat you get first jhana, it won't be enough. I want second jhana. I want stream reading. You get stream reading. No, I want full enlightenment. You get full enlightenment. I want the psychic powers. What is your wish list? You find that the problem is wanting. It doesn't matter what you want, it's just wanting itself is a problem. It stops you being peaceful. So stop wanting anything. And just appreciate what you already have, which is more than enough. And you'll find that that is the correct way to meditate. And you'll find when you experiment, when you want something, the peace disappears, the tightness comes back again, the anger and frustration comes up, and then you're going in the wrong direction. But as soon as you're content, I may not have got as much sleep as I needed last night, but it's good enough. Maybe my body is really sore with gut ache, headache, neck ache, all these other aches which you have. But it's good enough. My meditation may be not that peaceful, but it's good enough. Be content. And when you don't want anything, it's amazing what happens. Then all these things occur. As Ajahn Chah used to say, one of his great similes, he said his monastery was like a mango orchard, where the mango trees had been planted by the Buddha hundreds of years ago. And now those mango trees are mature, and they are dripping with the ripest, juiciest mangoes. And he said, you monks, nuns, laymen and laywomen these days are so lucky. You don't have to climb up the mango tree to get a mango. You don't need to take a stick and throw it at the branch to get the mango to fall. You don't even need to shake the mango tree. Just sit underneath it. Open out your hand and a mango will fall. That was a great teaching of an Ajahn Chah. That showed me that, this guy knew what he was talking about. So, if you've been climbing up your mango tree, trying to get things to happen, well, maybe not climbing up the tree, but climbing up the wall, as they say in the West, If you've been throwing things at the mango tree, if you've been shaking, come on me, get your act together, get some deep meditation. If you've been doing such things, the mango never falls. All you need to do as a meditator is sit down, open up your heart, and these beautiful states of meditation, they just fall right into your heart and mind. They come to you when you're sitting still. You shake the mango tree, it doesn't work. So if you haven't had deep meditation yet, it's because you've been shaking your mango tree. Stop it. You've been climbing up, trying to make things happen. Stop it. Throwing things at people, mostly yourself. Stop it. And leave it alone. And all these wonderful things will happen. And you know this because you give it a try, just a little try, and it works. You get peaceful. You start to know this simile of your going down into peace, into stillness, into joy. You're going in the correct direction because it's working. And whenever that does happen, it goes in the correct direction. You get more peaceful, more kind, more gentle. Things become still. That is called insight. You're understanding through your own experience the path to deep meditation. And also, you're understanding these Four Noble Truths. Not through thinking about them, not through learning Pali and all the different connotations of the meaning. No, you're experiencing this through your own, you're understanding this through your own experience. That is insight. This is what it means by letting go. I'm peaceful. It just means what it means by letting go of wanting and craving. Everything becomes so calm. You're understanding how to end suffering. It's only a tiny bit, but it gives you the direction. You're going downhill. Keep on going. You're going to go under that mist, see the Dhamma, and understand everything, and really appreciate what a profound path this is. And also understand why we keep on talking to you. Let go. Stop doing things. Stop trying so much. Just be happy where you are. This is good enough. Because if you don't do that, you do the third noble truth. When you agitate, you want something, it's always agitating the mind. When you agitate the mind, you just create what? More thinking. How many thoughts have you had since you were born? Millions and billions and trillions of thoughts. And what have those thoughts ever done for you? Have they ever solved the problems? After all that thinking, are you wise? That's why you come here, because you're stupid and you try and find some wisdom over here from monks who just spent the time just not thinking for years. So, stop trying to work it all out. That's what people do, you know. They go up by the stupa over there and try and think out the meaning of life. You never will find the meaning of life through thinking. Thinking always goes around. It never goes into. And I'll now prove it to you. What is this? Hang on, who knows what this is? Tell me what this is. Stick. Stick, yeah, what else? Word. Yeah, thank you, Rodney. You've done this before, so thank you for getting people started. What else can you see here? What else? Give me a description of what you see here. Yeah, brown. What else? What else? Remember, all those descriptions are thoughts. They're just names. You know, stick, wood, maybe sort of 7-8 inches high, round at the bottom. It's been done on a lathe. It's used to do the gong. Is that what this really is? All those labels, what we take to be thoughts, are just descriptions. They're not really going into what this thing truly means. This is usually how we miss the truth. We're taught at school, boy, girl, mummy, daddy, tree, dog, house. Everything has a label, And we think that once we give something a label, we know what that thing is. Stick. And for many, that's all you need to do. You think you know it, it's a stick, and you've missed it. Brown, wood, it's much more than that. But the thoughts only go to the outside, superficial. Remember reading this story about this very famous scientist. And he studied under an even more famous scientist. And when he applied to be this famous scientist student, the famous scientist, I think it was in Harvard, gave him a test. So if you want to be my student, this is your test. And in the lab, he got a pickled fish out from a jar, put it on the lab bench, and said, "What do you see?" He said, "Fish." "Yeah, what else do you see?" "Keep on looking." And he said, "I'm going to come back in 2 hours. When you've finished seeing this fish, then let me know." And after 2 hours, he came back, and he said, "This scientist," he said, "every time I look, I see something new." He said, "Carry on." And after 3 days of spending about 3 or 4 hours in the morning and afternoon looking at this fish, this man said, "Look, the longer I look, the more I see." And the senior scientist said, "I can use you. You're hired." This is how we get insight. If you think you know, you stop looking. That's what thinking does. It stops you seeing things. You assume you've worked it all out. That's why you never get wise, through thinking. So in this retreat, if you've been thinking too much, it's because you've been agitating the mind. And also, it is because you've been celebrating and valuing thinking. You really have the idea that through thinking you're going to understand things and work it all out. But you do not. So in order to stop thinking so much and instead start seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling, knowing, in order to get primary sense input rather than this thinking business, please take the value away from thoughts. Because this is what your mind will do. If you have the idea that you're going to get something through thinking, you're going to work out the problems and find solutions, you'll go thinking, thinking, thinking. But if you realize that thinking is just going to drive you crazy and get you more confused than you already were when you started, if you understand that, then you'll stop thinking. Please take the value away from thinking and instead put the value back onto silence. Just to be aware is much better than to think. And after a while, with a bit of more salesmanship from me, a bit more conditioning and brainwashing, after a while you stop thinking so much and instead you start feeling, tasting, knowing without a conversation going on in your head. In other words, the thoughts stop. And really that's one of the biggest problems for people when they start meditating. Try to stop thinking. So, I already mentioned one way of doing that. The little mantra, as you breathe in, you recite to yourself, shut. As you breathe out, up. Shut up, shut up, shut up. That's also one of the reasons why we ask people not to speak so much on this retreat. Because when you speak a lot with your mouth, you tend to reinforcing the thinking behind the speech. When your mouth is quiet, it's much easier to keep your head quiet. And if you can do that, you can also experience the silence. And all the thoughts which you cannot trust can actually stop. So thinking is one of the problems. And again, one of the reasons why we can't stop thinking also is because we don't know how to be patient. We are so impatient. 3 or 4 days have gone past. I've got nothing yet. I better get my act together soon. When I go back home and people ask me, say, darling, what did you do in the retreat? Nothing. I'm thinking all the time, worrying. And I had to pay money for that. Some of you have managed to get time off from work. It's really hard to get time off. And they ask, where did you go for your holidays? I just went to a retreat where I had to, only 2 meals a day, had to sit all day. No TV, nothing. God, you must be stupid. So, a lot of times, people really want to experience something in this meditation. And one of the reasons why the meditation doesn't work is because you don't know what patience is. There are 2 types of patience. The first type of patience is waiting for something to happen. I call that waiting in the future. You're sitting here and saying, no, I'm doing exactly what Ajahn Brahm said. I'm letting go. Nothing is happening. That is because you're not doing what I've been teaching you. You have been waiting in the future, waiting for something to come. That's the wrong type of patience. Real patience is waiting in the present moment. No future. What are you experiencing right now? And just like a waiter at a restaurant, you're waiting on the customer right now, fully aware of whether they finished the first course, or whether they're still talking, whether it's the time to come up and offer them the next thing. You're waiting in the moment, not waiting in the future. So any time you expect something to happen, you've lost your patience. Wait on this moment, and then time will have no meaning for you anymore. When time has no meaning, there is no next. And so if ever in your meditation the thought comes up, what should I do next? An alarm bell should ring, a red flag should come up. You have lost the plot. It's not about next. It's only about now, 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 and only now. There is no next. All you have is this right now. And your job is to be at peace with it, to be content. And then you find there are no problems in the meditation. As far as your body is concerned, some of your bodies are all getting old, some more than others, but as soon as you're born you start getting old. And so there'll always be aches and pains in your body, which is why that we sit down and then we walk, and then maybe lying down meditation is fine as well. You change your posture. So don't think that, oh, I'm hurting. I'm going to be tough. I'm not no namby-pamby cream puff meditator. I'm here to become enlightened and nothing is going to stand in my way. I'm going to sit here. Even though my blood dries up and my bones turn to dust, I'm not going to move until I become at least first jhana. Many people like that end up in hospital. And I say that because one of my friends, I was a monk together, the same reigns, he tried that. He decided to sit down. He had awful pain in his knees. He's going to just conquer that. He's going to stay there and not move. So he had to have a double knee reconstruction. The poor monk. It's totally stupid. So look, what should you do? You should not fight. You should be kind to your body. To be kind to the body means, yeah, you can maybe just, you've got an itch, don't scratch straight away. But maybe just see what happens. If it goes away, fine. If it doesn't go away, just give it a quick scratch. It's done, finished. If the legs ache, just move them. Only takes a few seconds. You don't really destroy your meditation too much. You go back a little bit, and then when you're comfortable again, you carry on, you soon get back to where you started. It's such common sense. Sit on a chair, lean back, use cushions, whatever you need. Do it out of kindness to your body. And there are some times when you are sitting meditation, sometimes strange things happen to your body. Such as you lean to the left, or you lean to the right, or you lean forward. That is why we have these chairs with armrests. So if you do lean over, it's less likely to fall. And if you really think you are falling, we can always get you, there's a little belt you can put around like a seat belt, so you won't fall off the chair. But really, that sometimes it happens to people. This is one of the problems in the meditation, because it gets them a bit concerned. Sometimes they feel that they're nodding or shaking backwards and forwards. And I remember a classic case, a woman said that whenever she meditated, she always started rocking. And I decided the next meditation to keep my eyes open about 10 minutes before the end. And she was sitting perfectly still. And afterwards, I said I was watching. Oh, you saw me rocking? I said, you were sitting absolutely still. I said, no, I wasn't. I said, I was watching you. You were perfectly still. And this is part of what happens in meditation. Your perception is like you're moving, but you're not. All it is your perception playing a few tricks on you. It's part of the course. Other times people think they're expanding. It doesn't mean that you're putting on weight. It means you're there in like you're a balloon getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Or you feel you're rising up into the air or sinking into the ground or exploding. Now when those things happen, please just go with it. It's fun. Meditation can be really boring, the same as watching the breath day in, day out. So when these things start to happen, this is entertainment. Go for it. See how much you can explode. How powerful. See how much you can expand. Because this is what happens. I call this just perception starting to become free. Very similar to, especially if you come from Asia, where you're really looked after by your parents and almost put in a little prison. And then you come and study, say, in Australia. And the first week or 2 weeks studying in Australia, no parents, you can do whatever you want, you go wild. Partying, doing whatever you like, because no parents to check on you. And after a couple of weeks, you settle down and go back to your studies. So first weeks for a young person when they're free, sometimes they go wild. That's similar to what happens to when your perception becomes free from you, the control freak. It starts to play around, go a bit wild. So I love that because it's really, really good fun. The first time that happened, meditating in Thailand, I went past the washing area. And there on the line I saw a black towel. And I stopped and stared and thought, hang on. I've never ever seen a black towel, jet black. No, you've seen pink towels, yellow towels, blue towels, mostly white towels, but never a black towel. And I stared at it for about 2 minutes, and then it changed back to white again. I thought, my God, was somebody putting mushrooms in the curry? What's going on? And it was nothing psychedelic, it was just the nature of the mind. My perception was playing around. I can be free now. I can see things in a way which I'm not supposed to. And then afterwards you look at a wall and it starts to melt like vanilla ice cream in the hot weather. It just all melts. That was really weird. Now when those things start happening, you're not going crazy, it's actually fun. Especially if it happens in that time of the meditation, nice and peaceful, you just enjoy it. It only lasts about 5 minutes and then it disappears. Because this is just your perception starting to become free. You're not going crazy. It just settles down after a while. Don't react to it. All that really is you've been so conditioned to see things one way and not another way. And this is just what happens. And after a while, when you settle down, usually the next thing which happens is real nimittas. If this is what happens, it's good stuff. So when those nimittas start to sort of come up, you realize that this is just a way of perceiving your mind. Perception is becoming free from the body and all this conditioning. But there's another thing which happens to the body, which is a great thing which happens when you get hot spots in the body. And sometimes you're meditating and the body, you're getting very peaceful, and a part of the body gets very, very warm. And if it starts to get very warm, don't be concerned about that. That's invariably an excellent sign. The classic case, which I keep on telling people, was when we used to do the retreats in North Perth Redemptorist Centre. A woman came up and she said, the last meditation, her whole head and shoulders were really hot. And I replied, when did you have your whiplash? I never told you about that. It's true, you have got psychic powers. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. It was a moment of glory, but then I confessed. I said, I'm not psychic powers. It's just, logic, adding 1 and 1 making 2. Because I know that your head and shoulders got hot because you had an injury there. And the most common injury for your head and shoulders is those car accidents where you have whiplash. I was just, making a very educated guess. And I said, I bet you feel so nice in your head and shoulders. And I said, yeah, so relaxed now. Because what happens in meditation when you get out of the way, you stop controlling, and you just present moment awareness, silence, watching the breath, everything gets nice and peaceful and calm. When you get out of the way, the body can start to heal itself. And it sends energy to where it's needed. To this woman, it was to her shoulders and her neck, which had suffered this injury of whiplash. And the body did that by itself, sent all this wonderful energy there. And she got hot, and afterwards she felt so relaxed afterwards. A great deal of healing had happened. So if ever you have hot spots like that in your meditation, brilliant. Don't be concerned, it's not a problem. It's a wonderful thing which has happened, it's nature. Or even, there was this one woman who, when she was meditating, she was twisted all around. And now I can't demonstrate that, otherwise I would totally wreck my body. And it was such an extreme twisting that I was very, very concerned for her. So afterwards I took her aside and said, excuse me, but this is the way you were sitting meditation. You were really twisted. She said, was I? I said, yes, you were. How do you feel? I feel great. Whatever it was, she was sick. Sometimes, actually she did have a car accident. She was quite badly injured in the car accident. Somehow or other the body said, I need to twist this way and that way to get the energy channels running again. So after the experiences like that, I always trust my body, and I trust your body too. In meditation, when you get peaceful, whatever your body wants to do, jerk or whatever, let it. It's not a problem. It's a release of energy. Something is happening. Well done. It's a great thing to do. Tiredness. Sometimes when you're meditating, you fall asleep. The best antidote to sloth and torpor is called the pillow. Take a break, for goodness sake. Because that is a hindrance to meditation, when you start yawning or you get tired. And it's nature. You poor things, sometimes you work so hard in this world, and now you've got an opportunity to take a break. Take a break. Even when you've been meditating a lot and you've been sleeping a lot, it's this time of the retreat, you've been resting so much already, don't think, oh, I've done all my sleeping, I can't sleep again. Very, very often, when people come to their interviews and they say that, no, my meditation's not working today, I'm having a terrible day. My antidote to that, which has 100% success, I say, go to bed. Lie down, don't set the alarm, just go and have a nap. Whatever time you get up, you get up. I can't do that, I've been sleeping enough today. Do it. And then after you've had a nap, have a shower, maybe a cup of tea or orange juice, whatever and then meditate. And they always come after, that was the best meditation I've ever had. It always works. You know why? Because you need to relax. You're tired. You look after your body and mind, and the body and mind looks after you. You're kind to it, and it's kind back. Simple karma. So if you're tired, number one, Just go and take a nap. Number 2, sometimes it's really not tiredness, because if you go back to your bed and you can't go to sleep, it means you're not tired. It's amazing sometimes. People are in here and they can't stay awake, they're always nodding. And they go back to the room and lay down, they can't go to sleep. There's something going wrong there. So if that's your problem, you're tired, it's not really physical tired, it's like boredom. That means you need to put a bit more variety into your meditation. Don't always do the same thing and make life boring. Be like a robot, always doing exactly the same thing. So in order to do that, I give the brushing the teeth meditation. Because we're all creatures of habit, and that gives us sloth and torpor, just boredom basically. I ask you, when you first get up in the morning and you brush your teeth, to notice which part of the mouth do you begin with? Are you always starting in the top left-hand corner or the bottom right-hand corner? Where do you start when you brush your teeth? First of all, notice where you usually start. And the next time you brush your teeth, start somewhere else. Every time you brush your teeth, start at a different place in your mouth, thereby breaking old habits that I usually say, living on the wild side, doing things differently. And if you start that with just little habits, like brushing your teeth, the way you eat, try and eat the opposite way around next time. Eat the sweet first and then the rice, or whatever else you do. Do things differently. Don't always sit in the same place. Always do the same thing. Always sit the same direction. Don't be a creature of routine who always says the same thing. Don't always tell the same jokes. Oops. And then you become alive. And when you become alive, sloth and torpor doesn't even come into the picture. You've got energy. It's also the case that whatever you're doing, if it's brushing the teeth, be there. Be mindful. Put energy into it. That was that story of Ajahn Chah, or actually this man from Sydney who came to see me, and he said he went to see Ajahn Chah once when he was famous, but he couldn't get close to the great monk. He was surrounded by so many people. And he'd gone all the way from Sydney to Ubon in the northeast of Thailand, just to see this monk and ask him his questions. That's all he went there for. And after a couple of hours waiting, he realized his whole trip had been wasted. He would not get close enough to ask the questions. So he gave up. And as he was walking away, he saw the monks were sweeping around the monastery grounds. It was another half an hour before his taxi would come, so he got a broom and started sweeping as well. Might as well make some good karma. He's not going to see the great teacher. So he was sweeping the grounds, and then he felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned around and saw that was Ajahn Chah. Ajahn Chah had noticed this man had come such a long distance. He couldn't spend a lot of time answering all his questions, so he just gave him a very, very quick Dharma teaching. And this man from Sydney said that was the best piece of advice he'd ever got in his whole life. It had caused him to become a wealthy man, a very good sort of family man, had a great relationship with his wife and kids, and his spiritual practice was also really, really good. And the advice was, when you're going to sweep, give it everything you've got. In other words, even doing the menial tasks, put your full awareness, full energy into doing it. Make sweeping, give it everything you've got. When you're washing the dishes, give it everything you've got. When you go into the toilet, full mindfulness, give it everything you've got. When you're resting, give resting everything you've got. Do it properly. It's not meditation time. It's not worry time. It's actually resting time. When it's time to give donations, give it everything you've got. I tried that on our Consider Day. It didn't work. Whatever you do, give it everything you've got. But you get the idea here. A lot of times, one of the reasons we get bored is because we don't give things full attention, full effort, full life. Which means after a while we just we create tiredness. It's not natural. After a while, whatever you do, when you give everything you've got, the whole of life becomes full of energy. You literally generate and create energy in your meditation. So even when you're walking from here to the dining room to get a cup of tea, give it everything you've got. Which means you create energy and the dullness never comes. And when you do sit down, you get, okay, this is like the very first meditation ever. Give it everything you've got and do it slightly differently. Backwards breath meditation. Hands up if you haven't tried the kangaroo walking meditation yet. Okay, now you've got to do that at least once while you're Can you get dullness when you're hopping up and down like some crazy person? Of course you can't. Now you understand where you get the energy from and how to overcome the sloth and the torpor. However, there are sometimes in this meditation retreat you get what they call the attack of all the hindrances. Someone came to me once and said that. They had every defilement all at once attacking them. Even I said, oh, come on, you can't have restlessness and sleepiness. I said, yeah, I can. I do. Everything. And so, the answer to that's where I developed what I call the Nalagiri strategy. Because Nalagiri was a story in the time of the Buddha of this guy who fed alcohol to an elephant. Made him totally crazy and drunk and let the elephant loose on the narrow street where the Buddha was coming on alms round. And so there you had this huge elephant, totally out of his head with alcohol, charging down the road. And the very calm and peaceful Buddha come in the opposite direction. If ever you've seen that movie, High Noon, this was high noon in Rajagaha, between the mad elephant and the peaceful Buddha. And all the people were running away and shouting at the Buddha, get out of the way, there's an elephant coming, get out, quick, save your life. And all the monks jumped over the walls, climbed up trees. So much for holy monks. All except the Buddha's chief attendant, Ananda. And if ever you read the teachings or the story of the Buddha, you find Ananda, he just loved the Buddha. And even when the Buddha was about to die, Ananda, even though he was a stream, when he burst out crying because he loved the Buddha so much, he was so attached to him. So Ananda, this was his moment of glory. He stood in front of the Buddha. Let the elephant kill me. I will protect my master. And that was a wonderful, heroic thing to do. Sometimes I ask my disciples, would you do that for me? No way. He stood in front. He had his moment of glory, and then the Buddha, get aside, Ananda, I can handle this. It's very nice, but not needed. So there was no one between the Buddha and this elephant. The elephant charging, and the Buddha just standing there peaceful. What would happen next? And the Buddha did have psychic powers. There are such things as magic powers. So the Buddha could have very, very easily just grabbed the elephant by the trunk, twirled him 3 times around his head, and thrown him over the Ganges River 300 miles away. That'd be easy for the Buddha to do. But would the Buddha do that? That is violence. That's not what we do to defilements. What the Buddha did, he said something like, Nalagiri, the door of my heart is open to you, no matter what you ever do. You can pick me up with your trunk and smash me against a tree. You can trample me under your feet. You can kill me, destroy me, but I'd always love you and care for you. Nalagiri, the door of my heart is open to you, no matter what you ever do. Never underestimate the power of such compassion, which is unconditional. In a few seconds, Nalagiri was just standing meekly before the Buddha, bowing his head, and the Buddha just stroking his trunk. There, Naragiri. There, it's all right. Now that was the story. And that's the story of what you should do when you think you're going crazy, when you have all these defilements coming up. Just say to yourself, me, the door of my heart's open to me. Even if I go so mad and crazy, they're going to put me in an institution for the rest of my life. Never mind. And stroke your nose. There, it's all right. Calm down. It is the kindness, the gentleness, the awareness which stops all of this stuff. The attack of all the hindrances. When you fight, you give it energy. When you let go and be kind, it becomes peaceful. And you can see that happening, just like that story of the misty mountain. You can see you're going in the right direction. Never underestimate the power of kindness. At all stages of the meditation, even if you're just watching this beautiful nimitta, what should you do? Nimitta, the door of my heart's open to you. You can come, you can go, you can disappear. Whatever you do, I love you. And then the nimitta will come along. Ah, she loves me. And will stay right in front of you. The kindness. Never underestimate the power of that kindness. So for some of you who have only got to the breath and you haven't got these beautiful nimittas yet, one of the ways of overcoming that obstacle is, I was reminded of this yesterday during the interview time. How about combining your loving kindness meditation with the breath? You're observing your breath. Are you really appreciating it and giving it beautiful loving kindness? Just reflect on what your breath has done for you all these years. Kept you alive. You've been busy, you've been sick, you've been sleeping. Even you've been under anesthetic and still your breath has been coming in and going out. Feeding you oxygen, taking away all the waste products. Have you ever said thank you to your breath? You're such a lovely thing, breath. You give me so much health and energy. Thank you so much. And you look upon your breath with incredible loving kindness. First time I did that was actually a Safety Bay retreat. First night, did that, and wow, that was a great night. Amazing deep meditation. That was actually the time you went to sleep and you dreamt of jhanas. They were great dreams, bliss, all in your dreams. Marvelous. So, this is what you can do by adding some loving kindness to your breath. And that breath soon becomes incredibly delightful breath. You can't help it. You know, whatever you have love towards looks beautiful. Sometimes people, they bring me their kids to be blessed when they first get born. And I saw this ugly thing which is stinking because it's just pooped in its nappy. And I've got to hold it. And the parents say, oh, it's such a lovely baby. Oh, isn't it beautiful? And I said, take it back quick. It's amazing just if that's your kid, it's just so beautiful and so lovely because you love it. It's the love which adds a lot of the beauty. Because it's the kid, that's all, and it's not all that beautiful. Well, not for me as a monk. But anyway, I can't say that, otherwise I get into trouble with the mothers. So, your breath, if you give it this beautiful loving kindness, it looks the most beautiful thing in the world. So when you're watching your breath, try giving it some loving kindness. Beautiful breath. And then the breath becomes so delightful, so lovely. And just like the mother, you know, when you've got a young kid, you just can't sort of take your eyes off it. You can't stop thinking about it. So your attention on the breath just stays there. It's so wonderful. You've got so much energy. You really get into some deep meditation that way. So give it a little bit more interest. Put more energy into it. Be more innovative. Don't always do the things the same old way. And then all the dullness will disappear. But again, the patience. Don't wait for things to happen. If you do, they'll never happen. Remember that play? I remember seeing this play years ago with my girlfriend in the Edinburgh Festival. That was Waiting for Godot. It became a very famous play afterwards. about these guys who were always waiting for Godot to arrive at the train station. Never did. Never ever. That was a simile of waiting for something to happen. If you wait for enlightenment, if you wait for jhanas, you'll be waiting forever. Don't wait for it to happen. Wait in the moment. No expectations. Just being here. Content, happy, giving loving kindness to this moment. And then all the defilements will stop. All the obstacles will disappear. And you'll find meditation is the easiest thing in the world. Just sit there and do nothing. What could be easier than sitting here doing nothing? You can't do that, can you? You sit here and you do things. You expect, you want things to happen, you try and control, make it happen quickly. I've only got a few days left, I'm in a hurry, come on, quick. No, it doesn't work. Just sit here, be content, in the moment, happy to be here, whatever it is, this is good enough. And then everything comes to you. That's how to overcome some of the obstacles in your meditation. Any questions? Good. So